Rationale for classroom assessment. The rationale for classroom assessment is rooted in its various purposes and benefits in promoting effective teaching and learning. Here are some key rationales for conducting classroom assessments. 1. Inform instruction. Classroom assessments provide valuable information about students' knowledge, skills, and understanding, allowing teachers to tailor instruction to meet their individual needs. By identifying areas of strength and areas requiring improvement, assessments help teachers make informed decisions about instructional strategies, pacing, and content delivery. 2. Support learning progress. Assessments serve as tools for monitoring and tracking students' progress over time. They provide feedback on students' learning growth and help identify areas where additional support or intervention may be needed. Regular assessments can motivate students to set goals, monitor their own progress, and take ownership of their learning. 3. Check understanding. Assessments allow teachers to gauge students' understanding of key concepts, skills, and content. They provide opportunities for students to demonstrate what they have learned and help teachers identify any misconceptions or gaps in understanding. This information enables teachers to adjust instruction and provide targeted feedback. 4. Guide instructional decision-making. Classroom assessments inform instructional decision-making at both the individual student and whole class levels. Teachers can use assessment results to differentiate instruction, modify teaching strategies, and provide appropriate support or enrichment based on students' specific needs. 5. Promote reflection in self-assessment. Assessments encourage students to reflect on their own learning progress and assess their own understanding. Through self-assessment, students develop metacognitive skills, become more aware of their strengths and weaknesses, and take responsibility for their learning. This promotes a sense of agency and lifelong learning skills. 6. Promote fairness and equity. Well-designed assessments help ensure fairness and equity in the classroom. They provide multiple opportunities for students to demonstrate their knowledge and skills using different assessment methods, accommodating diverse learning styles and preferences. Assessments that are aligned with clear criteria and standards promote transparency and reduce biases. 7. Enhance communication. Classroom assessments facilitate communication between teachers, students, and parents or guardians. Assessment results can be shared to inform parents about their child's progress and strengths, enabling them to support their child's learning at home. Clear communication about assessment expectations and criteria promotes a shared understanding of learning goals. 8. Monitor curriculum effectiveness. Assessments help teachers evaluate the effectiveness of the curriculum and instructional approaches. By analyzing assessment data, teachers can identify areas of strength and areas that may need adjustment or improvement. This allows for ongoing curriculum review and refinement to ensure alignment with learning objectives. Overall, the rationale for classroom assessment is to support effective teaching and learning by providing meaningful feedback, promoting student growth, guiding instruction, fostering reflection, and ensuring fairness and equity in the learning environment. Forms of classroom assessment. Classroom assessment takes various forms to gather information about students' knowledge, skills, and understanding. Here are some common forms of classroom assessment. 1. Formative assessment. This type of assessment is ongoing and occurs during the learning process. It aims to monitor students' understanding and provide immediate feedback to inform instruction. Examples include classroom discussions, questioning techniques, exit tickets, quizzes, observations, and informal checks for understanding. 2. Summative assessment. Summative assessments are typically administered at the end of a unit, chapter, or course to evaluate students' overall learning outcomes. They are used to assign grades or determine students' mastery of specific content. Examples include final exams, standardized tests, unit tests, projects, or research papers. 3. Diagnostic assessment. Diagnostic assessments are conducted at the beginning of a unit or course to assess students' prior knowledge, skills, and understanding. They help identify students' strengths, weaknesses, and any misconceptions. Examples include pre-tests, concept maps, pre-assessments, or diagnostic interviews. 4. Performance assessment. Performance assessments focus on students' ability to apply their knowledge and skills to real-world tasks or projects. They assess higher-order thinking skills, problem-solving abilities, and application of knowledge in authentic contexts. Examples include presentations, portfolios, simulations, debates, or experiments. 5. Self-assessment and peer assessment. Self-assessment involves students reflecting on their own learning progress, setting goals, and evaluating their own work against given criteria. Peer assessment involves students providing feedback and evaluating each other's work using established criteria. Both forms of assessment promote metacognition, self-regulation, and peer collaboration skills. 6. Oral assessments. Oral assessments involve students demonstrating their understanding or skills through spoken communication. This can include individual or group presentations, debates, oral exams, interviews, or classroom discussions. Oral assessments assess communication skills, critical thinking, and verbal expression. 7. Written assessments. Written assessments involve students demonstrating their understanding or skills through written responses. This includes essays, short answer questions, research papers, journal entries, or written exams. Written assessments assess written communication skills, organization, and critical thinking abilities. 8. Authentic assessments. Authentic assessments focus on real-world, relevant tasks that simulate or mirror actual situations. They assess students' abilities to apply knowledge and skills in practical contexts. Examples include case studies, real-world problem-solving tasks, role plays, or simulations. 9. Assessment of learning. This type of assessment is often associated with summative assessments and is used to evaluate students' learning outcomes at the end of a unit, course, or academic period. The primary purpose is to measure and document what students have learned. Examples include final exams, standardized tests, end-of-unit assessments, and grading assignments. Assessment of learning provides a snapshot of students' performance and determines their level of achievement against predetermined criteria. 10. Assessment for learning. Assessment for learning, also known as formative assessment, focuses on providing ongoing feedback to students during the learning process. Its primary purpose is to support and enhance learning by identifying students' strengths and areas for improvement. Assessment for learning informs instructional decisions, helps students self-assess and set learning goals, and guides teachers in adapting their teaching strategies. Examples include classroom discussions, quizzes, protests, feedback on assignments, and check-ins for understanding. Assessment for learning fosters student engagement, reflection, and metacognitive skills. 11. Assessment as learning. Assessment as learning is an approach that involves students taking an active role in their own assessment process. It emphasizes self-regulation, metacognition, and the development of lifelong learning skills. Assessment as learning integrates the assessment process into the learning experience itself. Students engage in self-assessment, reflect on their own progress, set goals, and make judgments about their own learning. They take ownership of their learning and monitor their progress. Examples of assessment as learning include self-reflection exercises, portfolio assessments, learning journals, and peer feedback activities. Assessment as learning promotes student agency, self-directed learning, and a deeper understanding of one's own learning process. It's important to note that these forms of assessment can be used in combination or tailored to suit specific learning objectives and contexts. The selection of assessment methods should align with the intended outcomes and provide a comprehensive view of students' learning progress. Writing effective test items. When creating test items, it is important to design questions that effectively assess students' knowledge, understanding, and application of the content. Here are some guidelines for creating appropriate and effective test items. I clearly state the objective. Each test item should align with a specific learning objective or skill that you want to assess. Clearly state the objective at the beginning of the question or include it in the instructions to provide context for the students. 2. Use clear and concise language. Ensure that the wording of the test items is clear and easy to understand. Avoid using complex or ambiguous language that may confuse students. Keep the questions concise, focusing on the essential information. 3. Avoid biased or leading language. Ensure that the test items are neutral and do not contain any biased or leading language that may influence students' responses. Use objective wording that does not favor any particular perspective. IV. Incorporate higher-order thinking skills. Include test items that require students to apply higher-order thinking skills, such as analysis, evaluation, or synthesis. These items go beyond simple recall and encourage critical thinking and problem-solving abilities. V. Balance difficulty level. Create a balance of easy, moderate, and challenging test items to assess students' varying levels of knowledge and understanding. This helps differentiate between students who have a solid grasp of the content and those who may need additional support. 6. Provide clear and specific instructions. Clearly instruct students on how to respond to each test item. Specify if they need to select multiple answers, provide written explanations, solve problems, or choose the best response. Avoid vague instructions that may confuse students. 7. Include a variety of question formats. Incorporate different question formats to assess various skills and engage students. Examples include multiple choice, true-false, matching, fill-in-the-blank, short answer, essay, or problem-solving questions. 8. Avoid clues or irrelevant information. Ensure that the test items do not contain unnecessary clues or irrelevant information that may guide students to the correct answer. Keep the focus on assessing the targeted learning objective. 9. Review for accuracy and consistency. Before finalizing the test items, review them for accuracy, relevance, and consistency with the learning objectives. Ensure that the answer choices are plausible and that there is only one correct answer, unless specifically intended for multiple correct answers. Pilot test and revise. Consider piloting the test items with a small group of students to gather feedback on their clarity and difficulty level. Based on the feedback, revise and refine the items as necessary before administering the test to the entire class. Remember, the goal is to create test items that effectively measure students' understanding and skills while providing a fair and valid assessment. By following these guidelines, You can create appropriate and effective test items that align with your instructional objectives. Identifying the various ways of scoring a test.